let's get into kind of our MO. We've been doing the segments, and I think the first thing we're gonna do is Lemeter, his cold classic thing. He loves hot takes, so I think we're just gonna go around the circle, maybe the same style hot takes, and maybe get some reactions from that. Lemeter, since you're starting off with it, do you want to start? You kind of you can set the tone for the hot takes.
All right, I guess I'll have to do the honor because it is called Lemeter Smoking Takes after all.
It's inspired by you.
All right, so my hot take for the 49ers this year is Dante Pettis will be the leading wide receiver with over 1,000 yards. Oh. Let's go.
He genuinely thinks this, by the way. Like, he's not doing this for the show. Like, he genuinely thinks this.
I've been a Dante truther since the day one.
I'm gonna yeah. We've had other people on and they're like, this is crazy. Like, does he really say this thing? It's the weirdest thing because you'll see guys like ESPN, like Stephen A. Smith, he'll say some crazy shit like Skip Bayless. Lemeter actually believes this.
Okay, look at my track record. I said Gronk is coming back. Did he come back?
Yeah. No, okay, let's look at the other one.
That's not as crazy. Like Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. Why would Gronk not want to come back?
You're saying it, but I think he'll name one instance, and I can name 5 where he's totally completely out of the fucking ballpark. So Carlos Hyde's gonna be a Pro Bowler.
He had 1,000-yard season after all, didn't he?
He did.
Was he a Pro Bowler? That's not it. Andrew Luck, Lemeter's still holding out. Andrew Luck's gonna go to the Patriots. Like any moment now, they're gonna announce Andrew Luck going back to the Patriots. I don't see that. Dante Pettis. To be honest, I don't think any receiver on the Niners would get 1,000. I just feel like Shanahan spreads the ball around so much that I don't think even 1,000 yards for a receiver, other than George Kittle, would make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. What's your?
I don't want to knock it, but I don't see it happening.
Lemeter, if it happens, as I always say, I'll come back and be like, I'm sorry, that's my bad. I'm sorry for shitting on your take. But
I think a hot take would say Dante Pettis gets 500 yards. I think that would be more of a hot take. I like Dante Pettis. I think I tweeted at him about he was social distancing before it was a thing when he scored on Patrick Peterson. He was like, "Oh, I'm just trying to stay ahead of the trends," and so I like the guy, but I just don't think Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo are too fond of him because of how this offense is structured. A lot of it's through the middle, and Dante Pettis doesn't really show too well running routes through the middle. So I think he can get 1,000 yards and lead a team in receiving somewhere else, but not this offense.
I feel like the hot take, you can even go completely the other way around. And I've told Lemeter that I think I think if there was an injury for Tebow Samuel, Dante Pettis at one point I was considering maybe he might get cut or put in the practice squad or something. I think he's talented, but it's just I think it's kind of like with O'Kelly where we're doing it's very much in his head. I think he has one bad play, and we'll see Kendrick Bourne. He'll kind of knock it off, and he'll Kendrick Bourne had a shit ton of drops last year, but he'll come back the next play and you'll see he's I want the ball back. Let me prove it wrong. And I feel like Dante Pettis, you see him just kind of put his head down and goes, sits down in the bench, and he just he doesn't have the same intensity.
Well, with now the Brandon Ayuk hamstring injury, we all expected to see Dante Pettis in his spot, but it wasn't Dante Pettis. It was J.J. Nelson. So that just kind of shows you where the 49ers are at with Dante Pettis.
They signed 20 wide receivers too.
That's true.
They signed River Craycraft this morning or yesterday, and I was just I only know him because he was a kick returner for the Broncos. And I'm just I don't know why we're signing all these people. But hey,
great name.
Depth in the wide receiver room.
He does have
fantastic name. Fantastic.
I got hyped a little bit about Kevin White. I was like, damn, Kevin White, number 6 overall pick, man. He just gets back to where he used to be.
Jaron Brown could be good.
I was a little hyped with Tavon Austin. I was like, okay.
That's true.
I am too.
Let's see. I think he could fit that scheme pretty well, but they haven't really used him like that in practice as of yet.
Tavon Austin, the weird thing is I feel like the Cowboys use him more of a running back, but the Rams they use him as a receiver. Where do you think the Niners are they just going to mix him around kind of like that, or are they going to put him in a specific spot?
Mix him around kind of a bit. I think what you said, Debo is pretty fair comparison. It's kind of like a Debo backup. Basically, I think they just want to get him in space, get him on the edge, get him in open field, somewhere where he can run after the catch. I'm not sure if he makes this team just based off what's going on in training camp. But I think you can have veterans now on the practice squad up to 6. Mm-hmm. So I think he is a legit candidate for that.
All right. So let's get into what hot take did you bring for us? Before we start recording, you said you got a lot of them.
All right. My hot take, here we go, is Juwan Jennings is going to make this 53-man roster. and he's going to catch a touchdown week 1.
That's pretty good. That's
hot takes.
That's pretty good.
He's been working.
I mean, if he can like be what he was in college and stuff like that, I mean, he brings something the Niners don't have for sure. Size.
They've been working him in the red zone, and he has 4 touchdowns in training camp so far, all coming in the red zone. So that's going to be my hot take: is he's going to make the roster. He's going to be that 6th receiver, and he's going to get a touchdown week 1.
I like that. Yeah, that's definitely a story to be looking out for the season. I think the guy that I'm going to go with, I already kind of tipped it. I'm a Kendrick Bourne guy. I think that, and I feel like maybe I don't think it's that wild, but I think that Kendrick Bourne can lead the team in receiving touchdowns. I feel like he was just this crazy red zone target. And I feel like, I mean, this year, what you see in training camp, like all the reports coming out that he's, he came back, he's still working hard, and he's, still impressing the team. And you see him, he has a good connection with Jimmy. And I think was the stat that he has where majority of his catches were going for first downs or touchdowns. So I feel like, I mean, easily speaking, if Kittle gets blocked, gets double covered or like more now or something like that, easily I could totally see Kendrick Bourne leading the team, especially in the wide receivers. I think he'll be the receiver with the most touchdowns, but I could see him just in the team just having the most receiving touchdowns.
I 100% seeing that because they don't use George Kittle that often. He only has 12 touchdowns in 3 seasons. Yeah. And I think he tied last year with George Kittle with 5. So I could definitely see that. What he's good at, what they really haven't used him much is that 50-50 ball. He's really good at the 50-50 ball. And he reminds me of, honestly, a little bit like Des Bryant. Des Bryant was a lot faster than him, but Des Bryant was really good in the slot as a slot receiver. So was Kendrick Bourne. Des Bryant won a lot of 50-50 balls, and I believe Kendrick Bourne can win a lot of 50-50 balls.
I think it's mostly just because he doesn't have the size. I mean, you think 50-50 ball, you think like this huge 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" receiver. Type. That's what you think like Juwan Jennings. You're like, oh, I could totally see him, getting the first touchdown. I could see him totally being a beast in the red zone just because he's got that size. But I think you're right. Kendrick Bourne kind of plays with that physicality, and he plays a little bit. I see like kind of the Debo thing where the Debo brought in where he kind of plays like a running back. I feel like Kendrick Bourne plays a little bit like that. It's just a little. He's definitely, if we're going to talk about just pure talent, I'd probably say he's definitely, I would even say he's below Dante Pettis in that regard. But I think he works at it hard, and that's part of the reason why I like him so much. I can respect that.
Yeah, I wish they could keep him around because he's just so fun to watch on and off the field. But he's probably going to get, with everything that's going on with COVID, the 49ers probably don't have enough money to keep him. But, oh, God, I think he's a talent. He's a talent. 100%.
And I guess I gotta hope that maybe he doesn't have the touchdowns just for next year.
I think regardless, like even if he doesn't lead the team in touchdowns, like someone's gonna want to pay that guy, and that energy he brings, like you could tell, he's not someone you have concerns about. He loves football.
For sure. All right, Aaron, you're gonna finish us off. I think you got to bring the hottest take here.
I mean, after Lemeter's Dante Pettis one, I don't think I can top it. But I mean, this is unintentional, but we all went with wide receiver hot takes. I don't know why we did that, but this is a pretty hot take. I have Brandon Ayuk leading the 49ers in receiving yards this season as a rookie. And the reason I can see that is because Shanahan loves this guy. I mean, I didn't really know who he was, if I'm being honest, before the draft. When we drafted him, I was a little surprised because I didn't really know who he was. But I looked him up, and the thing that stood out, of course, his wingspan is what everyone talks about, how he's 1 inch shorter than Megatron. So, Jimmy can throw it a little off target. He can still go out there and get it. And, he's very fast, and, he's just got all the measurables that you want in a wide receiver. And then we saw Deebo Samuel have great success in the system last year as a rookie. So, I believe in Brandon Ayuk, and I think he's going to be a top receiver for Jimmy Garoppolo. And the reports are coming out that Jimmy and him are having a great connection already in practice. And that's important, especially when there's no preseason games this season, to have them already start to get a connection. So I think he might be like on the shelf a little bit weeks 1 and 2, just so he can get like a little more used to the offense. But I think down the line, I think he'll start making some big games and hopefully lead the team in receiving yards, because that's what I'm going with.
I think that's fair. Like, especially if Deebo doesn't play week 1 or week 2, he might. Well, it's not a 100% guarantee. I think Ayuk's guaranteed for week 1. I've strained my hamstring before, and week 1's probably about 3 weeks away from when he did that. So he's got enough time to recover. Mm-hmm. And what Shanahan's raved about is his knowledge. Like, he's came in as a veteran, not as a rookie. Like, you didn't really hear that about Deebo Samuel last offseason, and next thing you know, Deebo Samuel's wide receiver 1. So I think that's a fair assessment. I like Ayuk. I like what I've seen from him so far.
I think, Aaron and I were both coming into the draft. We were both CeeDee Lamb guys. We were going like, all right, 13th pick, let's take CeeDee Lamb.
What about Jerry Jeudy, man?
And I don't know, Jerry. I wasn't that. I was like, okay, if CeeDee Lamb gets taken by the Jets, then all right, let's take Jerry Jeudy. I guess that'll be the second one. And neither one. It was Javon Kinlaw. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll trade back up, because CeeDee was falling, and then the Cowboys taking us like, shit, what are we gonna do? And all of a sudden we trade up. I'm like, all right, what are we doing? I don't know, what are we doing? And then Brandon Ayuk. And I think over the months, I've kind of like the first initial impression was kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know much about this guy, but I think as more you hear, especially with like the whole ASU connection with Herm Edwards and John Lynch, and then especially what you're saying in the training camp with how he looks like a veteran and he's standing out with Jimmy. I think Aaron is right. He could be someone who maybe even if not this year, for sure next year would be like a standout player on the 49ers receiving room.
Yeah, and his mom is a 49ers fan, so he's got that in his back pocket. Yeah, and see, this is what I was gonna say. I think Jerry Jeudy can be like a multi-Pro Bowler, or even Ruggs has that potential. I'm not too high on him though. This is where my concern with those two came from, is they weren't even the best receiver on that Alabama team. So why am I going to invest a top 15 pick on someone who wasn't even the best receiver on their team?
For sure.
I guess.
Fair point.
Hey, shout out to my boy Trent Taylor.
Waddle guy?
Huh?
Would you say you're a Jalen Waddle guy for next year? Someone, probably not for the Niners, but just in general, look out for next year's draft.
I've seen more of him on special teams than just as a natural receiver. I like Davion Smith from them.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good player.
All right, yeah, sorry. Let me go ahead with your Trent Taylor.
I was going to say, shout out to Trent Taylor. We've mentioned all these receivers, but not Trent Taylor. So he's been having a great camp from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, he's probably not going to get a high target volume, but you need a 3rd and 7. He's going to get 9 yards for you. So he may not be there high in targets, but he may be 4 targets, 4 receptions. And
that Bears game 2017, that's all I can think of. Like that 3rd down, Jimmy just slinging it into him. It's almost every play like you see just Jimmy's only looking at Trent, like Trent's his guy.
Jimmy loves Trent.
Yeah, we were just missing it last year, and I think maybe that's the reason Niners fans, we talk about Ayuk, we talk about Debo, Dante, KB. I think the guy you forget about is Trent Taylor, but I think, especially what you hear, I think last year, right, everyone was saying in training camp that he was the standout receiver, and this year you're kind of hearing the same thing. So
yeah,
hopefully, maybe he can stand out this year.
Yeah, and Jimmy was great on 3rd down last year. And I know these receivers are young, but I think they could be real. I think this is the most talented receiving core the 49ers have had in a really long time. And I think they will prove themselves.
Hopefully, dude. Hopefully. I think that's going to be integral for a good season, because we've seen like injuries to running backs, stuff like that, and injuries will happen, especially with coronavirus. Having this deep receiving room, it's good. I'm comfortable. Like, let's say one guy goes down, we definitely have another dude who can step right in and maybe not have the same production, but will still be pretty good.